Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. We're going to talk about Hinata Dawn Crowned, and I am your host, Commander Claw. On this episode of Breaking Brews, I'm bringing you 5 cards from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set that are here to upgrade your Hinata Dawn Crowned Commander deck. And if you know, you know. This is a Jeskai Commander, super powerful, and it plays off your opponent's being reckless. If your opponents are reckless, the more permanents on the battlefield on your opponent's side, the more you get to abuse the power of Hinata Dawn Crown. All those spells are going to be X spells that have targets. This amount of targets just reduce the cost of spells, and it just gets out of control. And next time, I'm just going to show you a bunch of cards that are X spells that you can possibly play for 1 or 2 mana, and your opponents pretty much have no answer for it. And don't forget her abilities. So let's talk about them. For 1 in Jeskai, you get a 4/4 flyer, legendary Kirin Spirit. It has flying, it has trample. Okay, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each target. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast for each target. If you don't know this commander, it goes Voltron, and it's a Spellslinger. Yeah, it's amazing. These 5 new cards I got for you are hot. Let's get into it. But just a quick review. Don't leave my channel yet. These are cards that are X spells that are better when they have more targets. We have Comet Storm. We have Marshal the Swirl Mist, Haloate's Intervention, Curse of the Swine. I'm just showing you these cards for those new players that happen to click on this video and they're thinking about Hinata and they see the Tarkir Dragonstorm set. These are auto-include cards. Trust me. Trust me. And they're powerful. So just imagine having 10 targets and you deal. Woo, let me move on to Tarkir Dragonstorm. Sorry. So we got Voracious Bibliophile for 3 and a blue, 3/3 body, dragon. It has flying. It has vigilance. My God. For 4 mana flying vigilance. Okay. Then it says whenever you cast a spell with 1 or more targets, draw that many cards. So yes, those X spells that I showed you that gets better for how many reduces the cost for how many targets. If you have that paired with Hinata and Voracious Bibliophile, you get to draw that many cards. So if there's 10 targets, you get to draw 10 cards. Y'all don't hear me. Have y'all probably never played against Hinata. Now that this card came out, oh my god, you're just reloading your hand after each X spell. That is crazy. If this card is not answered by your opponents, you've won the game. Straight up. Reloading your hand with a Spellslinger? No. No. Moving on. So obviously you can hear in my voice, I have been a victim of Hinata Dawn Crown. You can hear it. The only reason why I was a victim because the other 2 players were just casting a bunch of just permanents and tokens, giving the Hinata player more targets. So the X spells were just out of control. But let's talk about Shiko and Narset Unified. For 1 in Jeskai, 4/4 body, legendary human spirit dragon, flying vigilance with the ability called Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy that spell if it targets a permanent or player. And you may choose new targets for the copy. If you don't copy a spell this way, draw a card. What are we talking about here? Essentially, the second spell you play as a Hinata player, you get to copy it. And you know what you're going to probably copy? Your X spell with reduced mana cost for the amount of targets. Yeah, yeah, disgusting. Disgusting. Now, depending on which one it is, I think this is more preferable for the Comet Storm or a Fireball effect, right? Because you want to copy spells that deal damage so you can do double the damage. Curse of the Swine, whatever that is, that's probably not going to work very well with this because if you copy it, there's no more uh, targets that your opponents control because you exiled all the swine the first time. Yeah. So you see why the Fireball and Comet Storm are the better options. Moving on to the next. I put this in because it's the same creature type, but I do love combat tricks, and I'm a combat trick type of guy. Sun Pearl Kieran for 1 and a white, 2/1 Kieran, flash, flying. It says when this creature enters, return up to one of the target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it was a token, draw a card. This card is just good to preferably bounce your commander, Hinata, back into your hand and cast it later on. Nobody wants to pay commander tax for your commander. Hinata, that's what she struggles with. The higher the commander tax, the more you are not being, the more you are unable to play with your commander. The reason why Jeskai is very difficult to have a bunch of mana onto the battlefield. It doesn't ramp well. You're relying on rituals and the red color pip to just scale up in the amount of mana that you possibly need. So combat tricks or just type of bounce effects are going to protect it, so you can just recast it for a total of 4 mana every time. Sun Pearl Kieran. Moving on. Oh yeah, this card right here, you'll thank me later. Because if you play with Hinata, there were other creatures that were on the battlefield that happened to die. And you just need them back to reanimate some type of strategy that you possibly have, right? Or creatures that you need. Reunion of the House for 5 and 2 white is a sorcery. It says return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile Reunion of the House. So you already know when it says return any number of target creature cards, we're not paying the total cost with Hinata. So the best scenario you could pay for is 2 white mana to return any number of target creature cards. Is going to have to be at least 5 creatures with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. And automatically, I'm thinking probably the mana rocks or creatures that search for lands that you may have added in your deck. Maybe you're not that type of player. There's a bunch of creatures out there with low CMC, with low power, that are in Jeskai colors. So it's not that hard. Moving on to cards you may have missed if you have a Hinata deck. So we're focusing on spirits here. We got the Drog Skull reinforcements for 3 and a white, 2/2 body, spirit soldier. Has melee. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attack this turn or this combat. Then it says other spirits you control have melee. So if you're going Voltron or you're just attacking with Hinata, you're giving it melee. It gets +1/+1 for each opponent you attack this combat. Just buffing it up. Otherwise, Drugskoll says prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to spirits you control. This is where it shines. Those blasphemous acts that your players or your opponents love to cast to get rid of your creatures does not work on Hinata. No, player. Moving on to Drogskol Captain. Oh, they both have Drogskol on it. What does that word mean? For 1 white and blue, a 2/2 body, Spirit Soldier has flying. Other spirit creatures you control get +1/+1 and hexproof. Okay, so imagine Hinata with hexproof. Your opponents are in trouble. They are in trouble. Moving on to the summary. Hinata is a very powerful commander in Jeskai colors. I really don't think it has any weaknesses except if your opponents are playing a bunch of tokens or they have a bunch of permanents that you can target. That's really its weakness. Otherwise, it can't play. Otherwise, it's doing nothing and it's just swinging as a 4/4 flying trample Kieran. I don't even know what a Kieran is. Is that like a mythical horse, like a Pegasus? Spirit horse? Y'all tell me in the comment section below. But otherwise, put in the comment section below 5 other cards or just cards from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set that work well with Hinata. Peace out. I'm your host, Commander Claw.